Who's ready for the most enthusiastic movie special I'll ever be on?
Me.
I think this is weirdly going to be our most positive.
Probably.
Not me.
What do you mean? Fuck you!
Yeah, fuck you immediately.
Why do you hate fun?
Yeah, and you're immediately my least favorite person next to
Fuck outta
Danny.
here.
No, because it's all thanks to the Bay Turtles.
Well, we'll get into that at the end of this episode.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with this, though.
Yeah.
Do we have to beat up Alan too?
No, I'd only seen the second and third ones. I'd never
Of this series?
Wait,
Yeah.
So sorry for you.
you had never seen the original Turtles?
No,
Holy shit!
Shame.
I made the mistake.
Way so we can grill Alan. Hi, I'm Connor McGraw, joined by Alan Muir.
Hey, I didn't like this movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
fuck
this is
you.
Arlen. This is Arlen, and Alan is wrong because he is. Jesus Christ.
Hunter Davenport
Fuck X-Men Apocalypse.
and
Fuck.
Chris Smith.
It's like Wayne Gretzky on steroids.
You know what's funny is this is a reversal in wrestling terms. I believe that's what it would be called because
Where
Heel turn.
yep, Alan's been seeing it this whole time.
and in typical WWE fashion, by next week Alan will be a good guy again, and we'll never talk about it again.
Yeah.
Yep. Until we do Team NT2, in which who knows what'll happen then.
Oh, I'm gonna be that's my heel turn.
That's when we all beat up Connor.
Spoilers: Secret of the Use sucks.
Nope.
Anyhow,
No, Secret of the Use is the double switch.
it's a double turn.
Here's the thing: we can all agree, TMNT3 from 1992 is an absolute dog shit movie. So
I don't remember anything about that movie.
Oh,
it's real bad.
nuts.
Is Paige Turco in that one?
Maybe.
I don't even remember. April was in that movie for like 8 minutes.
No, yeah.
Eh,
Oh yeah,
Supposedly she was like almost topless. So
Guess what?
And poor Casey's in that movie for I think even less time.
yeah.
And
He had more in this film.
Whatever his name is in it too. Like
Everybody else is just a random Japanese person,
which
is
one?
Yeah,
you
is-
mean
remember
Scarlett
about Turtle-
Johansson?
I just remember that they used Tarzan Boy for the trailer, and that's it.
yeah,
You know what I remember the most is that those turtle costumes are awful.
yeah.
Why they give him liver spots?
I don't know.
They got to eat their vegetables.
And so that's I guess a good segue for this movie. Hunter, going into this, you didn't like the costumes, and then you suddenly changed on that.
Yeah. So, I think I seem to have forgotten how incredibly detailed the costumes are.
They really are. I grabbed that while I was like when Leo starts meditating at the end. I was like, they bothered to contour like every muscle on this thing.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
It looks like really good.
How much was the budget for the film?
$13.5 million.
In 1980? So that's like
1990. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
this is-
probably went in production in 89.
Yeah. And this is 8990 Newline cinemas we're talking about. This isn't.
Who has done nothing but Nightmare on Elm Street and a bunch of like,
So, adjusting for inflation, that's around $70 million.
and it made $200 million worldwide. This was a runaway success.
Yep.
And it probably, I mean, Nightmare was one thing, but Nightmare's Horror, this was a huge crossover cultural success.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a family movie. Like,
Yeah.
you take your parents to this, and maybe I'm wrong, you wouldn't be embarrassed. I wouldn't
Arlen,
think.
I think it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I think the parents
You mean-
the parents take the kids.
I don't know. Well, no, okay, you know...
Let's be real, the kids are decision makers in that department.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can get them to shut up.
Yeah, parents get dragged to these movies. Some of these movies, parents go there and then they sleep the whole time because it's the only way that they can get sleep.
But those movies are like those movies that that happens in is like Veggie Tales.
Like,
Right.
Trolls. I fucking
Right.
hate rock trolls. Can we make a podcast about box trolls and how much I hate
No, we can't. Yeah, I think that this is a movie like when you take your kids to this one, or I go to a birthday with a pizza party or whatever, you're not like wincing throughout the whole thing. Like God, just make it stop.
This movie is shockingly mature in ways that I didn't remember it was shockingly mature.
Yeah,
having rewatched it, it's like there is a fair amount of darkness that hovers over this movie that if you're not looking for it, you will miss.
Yep.
Yes.
April gets punched in the fucking face.
April gets punched in the face. Like, Leonardo is so racked with guilt over what he said to Raphael, he won't leave the room he's sleeping in and just sits there looking sad.
Splinter gets bitch slapped by Shredder.
Splinter looks close to death every time he's shown in Shredder's warehouse. And then, I mean, the entire Foot Clan is a bunch of, like, lost kids who are brainwashed into becoming disposable criminals.
Yep.
Which is, I think, there's a good scene involving that when Tatsu beats the piss out of one dude after they come back, and it's the one kid that Shredder initiated in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which just shows that, like, these kids are meaningless. No. It's the
ginger fuck?
Jesus Christ, Alan.
I'm not doing it. I'm a ginger.
Yeah. Okay, Alan, that's not how it works.
Just because I'm Irish doesn't mean I get to call them all a bunch of Mick bastards, all right?
Well, that's got to get bleeped out.
I really wish one of us was Italian.
I am, but I won't even.
Where's your papers, Hunter?
I was at work real quick. I was at work, and boss is handing out paychecks, and he's running through. And it's all alphabetically, and he's like, "Wow, so many of you Irish people here, all these like Micks," and he didn't mean that. He just meant a lot of us have nicknames that start with MC. And he's like, "Wow, a lot of Micks working here." I was like, "You motherfucker!" And he's like, "I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it."
I feel like the IRA is going to come after him now.
Yeah, now we gotta shut down this podcast.
But back to Turtles. This movie is very heavy.
Yeah, surprisingly heavy. I remember
lots of adult jokes, and I don't mean like naughty jokes, but
God.
Jokes that just require adult context.
There was, like, after watching this now, there were so many jokes that I missed. Like, this movie is insanely quotable. Like,
they make a Humphrey Bogart joke in this movie, which is, I don't care who you are. In 1990, that's going over kids' heads.
The green card joke, the claustrophobic joke.
Okay, the claustrophobic joke is kind of funny, though. It's bad, but it's kind of funny.
That may be the only thing I laughed at.
I like the hockey references by Casey Jones.
Yeah, and also, my one character, the one character I liked was Casey. The one character I didn't like, due to the way he spoke, was Raph.
Yeah.
I thought
that's because we're probably used to like a aggressive, like Batman, Christopher Nolan-esque, like. Right.
Yeah, and also
that's exactly how Raph is in Bay Turtles.
Yeah, I don't think I think the voice acting is good for what it is, but I don't think it quite holds up. I don't think the direction that they were going for holds up quite as well.
Was Ron Paulson one of the voices in this, or no?
No.
I don't remember.
Because I know it was the original Turtles cartoon, but I didn't know if it was in the movie too or not.
Let's see. I have it right here. So Josh Pius, Robbie Rist, Brian Tochi, Corey Feldman, Kevin Clash.
Corey Feldman?
God damn it.
Corey Feldman's
as Donatello.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
And David McSharon as the Shredder, and Michael Kanioe as Tatsu, which is really weird now that I look at that. That's an Irish man doing a Japanese voice.
Can we slay this elephant in the room? Alan, why the fuck don't you like this movie?
I didn't like the jokes.
Okay, that's fair.
We're waiting.
The stop motion effects on the Turtles and Splinter kind of freak me out.
Stop motion?
That's
really, like one scene.
That's so
no,
nitty.
Those are multiple scenes.
No, there's only one scene with stop motion. The rest of it is
a scene in a flashback. That's a nitpick.
Mm-hmm. Like, the rest of it is all suits, and that's what makes this movie impressive. Is these are people in rubber suits.
I have nothing against that.
Is Splinter a puppet? Does anyone know?
Splinter's a combination. He's classic Muppeteering, where it's I think it's a combination of an actor
head and then the arms.
Yeah.
There are moments where he moves where you can tell he's a puppet, but like it didn't take, for some reason it didn't take me out of the movie.
Right. In the same way, it doesn't take you out of Never-Ending Story. It doesn't take you out of.
It's like
or Star Wars Episode 4.
Kind of like,
Alan, continue, because I'm curious.
Okay, I watched the Bay Turtles before watching.
Oh my God.
Before watching.
What's wrong with you?
I'm going to crucify you when you finish this. I hope you know.
I watched Bay Turtles immediately after watching this.
Now that's actually a fair thing to do.
Because I wanted to see on how far we've gotten in that, and after watching Bay Turtles, I say that this film is better than the Bay Turtles.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Except I really like seeing the Technodrome for the 2 seconds it was there.
Yeah. I think the action sequences are better. But again, like I grade it on a scale. This is 1990 New Line, and these are people wearing rubber suits. Like,
and they
have a handicap.
Better story. They did more interesting. Like,
this movie made you actually feel something. The TMNT reboot is lots of flash with very little substance.
Did the cartoons come out after this?
Bad joke.
Same time. They were simultaneous.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cartoon changed a little bit after the movie came out.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking.
The only joke in the TMNT reboot I laughed at was when someone was like, Alien Turtles, and Megan Fox is like, no, that's stupid.
Right.
Yeah, that was Michael Bay.
That's because that's clearly Michael Bay going, ha ha ha, we weren't going to do that.
Yeah.
As he takes the stack of old scripts that he had and toss them in the fireplace.
Next to him.
No one will ever know the truth. Yeah. On
that movie, you could clearly tell that William Fichtner's character was supposed to be the villain, and someone was like, that motherfucker's not Shredder.
Yeah.
And then again, Michael Bay was like, what are you talking about? He's over here.
Yep.
God, the Shredder design is just...
Okay, and let's compare him to this one. Simplified and scary, because he's treated like fucking scary-ass royalty.
Until his fight scene.
He's totally goofed out.
I mean, the scene where he's talking to, like, the Foot Clan, like, he's initiating that dude, there's, like, he's, like, looking around, and there's light reflecting off the top of his blade. Mm-hmm. Like, that's fucking... For some reason,
this movie gets a solid grade in, like, presentation all over the place. This movie's a fucking slam dunk. The music, the lighting, the tone, like, the way everything looks like slimy, gross, disgusting New York.
Yep.
The shameless Domino's pizza sponsorship.
The shameless Domino's sponsorship. The what was it? The antique store front that you could see. It was like it was called like Secondhand. Mm-hmm. Just like a beat up ass sign. Everything had garbage all over it, and this looked like, and everyone talked like they were from New York.
It reminds you of home.
Like from New York. Yeah, I mean, like, to a degree, but also just, it seems like it works so well. Like, when Raphael flips over the taxi cab, and the dude's like, what the hell was that? He's like, I don't know, look like a big turtle in the trench coat. You going to LaGuardia?
That moment stood out to me, because it's just what I would expect.
You can't shock New Yorkers with anything.
Yep. Maybe that's what Alan didn't like. Maybe he thought it was racist to New Yorkers. Alan, thoughts?
Are New Yorkers considered a race?
Maybe. Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Yeah. I think Alan's given up on defending his dislike of the movie.
Yeah,
you know what? There is something I dislike, but it isn't due to them at all. They had the Domino's deal like way back in 1990. Mm-hmm. And in the Michael Bay films, they went with Pizza Hut.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing that happened.
That disappoints me. Like, what happened to Domino's, man? You guys were bros.
I don't know. Maybe I think it's because of the 15 minutes or less thing stopped. Who knows?
They did have that whole wise man say, "Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price."
Yeah, that was another joke I liked.
That's pretty, that's clearly product placement too.
Hunter, why do I feel like you'd get that on your tombstone?
I would.
I'm going to now.
Seriously. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah. There's a lot of...
You're not going to be buried in the ground. You're going to be frozen.
Yeah. Probably.
Like
Walt Disney. Or a dog.
I mean, as long as we're here, I mean, let's get my few negatives out of the way, which really are negatives that are all completely forgiven. Because this was made for $13.5 million,
Some things look cheap.
There is a legion of production fuck-ups.
Yeah.
Oh, can we talk about the horrifying?
And all...
You mean in the movie that is made out of people in silicone suits running around New York?
No.
There's
Like
production fuck-ups?
No. Like there are production fuck-ups that would be if this movie didn't have like the kind of reputation and love it has, these would be unforgivable in any other movie. I think when they're in April's apartment, there is a production assistant in a fucking orange hat just on screen.
Can we talk
I didn't
hanging
notice
out.
that.
how we
He's
could, like,
totally
edit
there.
this movie to a horror film?
And then when Donatello in one of the most like emotionally satisfying scenes when Raphael first wakes up by the bathtub and everyone's like laughing and like all being happy. The moment is shattered once you realize that once Donatello opens his mouth, there is a small human face in there.
Yeah, that.
Like I said,
Yeah, that was.
It's
be a horror movie.
scary if you still frame it. It's the scariest fucking thing
Yeah, it's like something out of The Thing.
because it's like all they have visible is like two eye holes and then a hole for their mouth. So you just see through this
Hello,
rough mesh,
Clarice.
eyeballs and teeth inside a set of teeth.
Yeah,
Horrifying.
it's
That's some like Lovecraftian shit right there.
yeah.
When Raphael's tossed through the roof and lands in the living room, when they go to check on him, he is no longer a man in a suit. He is just a piece of rubber. Like any and all like body tone and like kind of rigidity that they had in the suits is gone. Like they're touching him and they're checking on him and his whole body's jiggling. And then at the end, when Splinter tosses Shredder off the roof, you can see the puppeteer in Splinter's back. But further making that scene a little more silly.
Connor, did you just watch it once, or did you just
I'm
overanalyze every single scene?
No, the production fuck-ups I found in an article a few months ago. I was saying.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of this stuff, I watch this movie probably once a year.
Okay,
I love
that might
this
be
movie.
why.
I love this movie.
Yeah.
too.
This is probably the first time I've seen it in probably 10, 12 years.
Oh, I watch this movie very frequently. I
So,
love it.
Yeah.
like, all this was kind of, like, new to me, basically.
I watch it every once in a while, and it's I always am surprised by how good it is or how good I think it is.
Oh, did you
Um,
also know that sometimes the turtles' voices would switch?
Yeah, they would feel like they couldn't get somebody back, so just like one of them filled in for another one.
Yeah, because in April's apartment when they thank Raphael for saving her,
Mhm.
Raphael responds to Donatello like teasing him in Leonardo's voice.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah,
It's pretty
weird.
strange.
So a funny production note that was revealed, I think, by Judith Hoag, who plays April. Which again, if you watch it again with this knowledge, you kind of go, oh, because some of the action scenes are kind of stiff. That's because some of these foot soldiers are taking what looks like pretty legit shots to the face from a big dude in a rubber suit.
I mean,
That's
those
because
look like they hurt.
Yeah, that's because Golden Harvest, who was one of the production companies on this, and Newline were flying in non-union stunt workers from Hong Kong, beating the shit out of them, and then sending them home injured, and then shipping in new ones.
That's
Holy
fucking
shit.
abuse.
That is
wow.
that is some kingpin shit right there.
Yeah, that's Wild West era New Line, man.
Yep.
That's fucking crazy.
And then I'm watching this movie
Yeah.
and going, and like, I think on the rooftop sequence where Raphael's fighting dudes, like, a few of the shots, I'm like, that looked like it fucking hurt. And now that I know that, I'm like, that's because it probably did.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
God. Whoa.
Yeah, that's the.
And
that
Golden
changes how I
Harvest.
look at it.
Golden Harvest produced lots of the Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee films.
Mm.
So I mean that sort of makes sense because their thought process is probably like, well, fucking Jackie Chan does his own stunts all the time. Who cares?
Right.
There's probably they probably didn't really consider the level of safety that was probably required. and also probably didn't anticipate that a bunch of dudes getting their shit wrecked by a bunch of people in large rubber suits wouldn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it does, especially when anytime they rammed the 2 shells into someone's head.
Yeah, that had to be...
That was probably a nightmare.
Yeah. I guess that's a problem with this movie. Something else I did have a problem with is this movie is aggressively 90s.
Oh, God, yes.
This is the most 90s movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, and
It's like Daredevil's problem, but it's the opposite.
Yeah, and this is the oldest movie we've seen that we've done, I think. But aside from that 90s note, I do think it mostly holds up visually. The music, even as 90s as it is, I think it holds up really well.
The music is so much like PG hip-hop.
Mm-hmm.
That's
really amusing.
The stinger that they use whenever they show each, like, when Raphael shows the size to that dude on a subway.
Yeah. I love that. I love it so
want
much.
it to play in like my everyday life.
I thought the music, outside of the license stuff, I think the music is tremendous.
Yeah, it
I
is.
wanted to
It
point
fits
something out,
everything.
though. This film came out in 1990, the same year as Michael Keaton's Batman,
Yeah, like
as well as Dick
within a
Tracy.
year. Yeah, within a year of both of those movies.
2 of the 3 films were good. The other one was forgotten with time.
I have never seen Dick Tracy.
I have never.
Oh wow!
I didn't know Dick Tracy was a thing. Was a movie until like 3 years ago.
It's a it's a thing that
It had Robert De Niro in it.
Today is still trying to get picked up again.
It was directed by Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Oh man, not Humphrey Bogart. Warren Beatty is still aggressively trying to get a sequel to this movie made or a reboot.
Yeah.
Because he loves the character,
I mean,
so
Dick
he's
Tracy's
retained the rights.
Yeah, Tracy's a great character. I agree, but like,
Yeah. Well, it's so he loves it so much that because of how these rights deals go, he will make short films every couple years that feature Dick Tracy, so he can keep the rights. Because that's within the parameters of that deal. Because that's how much he loves the character. Like, he will die before somebody else gets the rights to that character.
I kind of admire that a little bit.
And that's not even hyperbole. Like, no, like his death, I think, is the only thing preventing people from picking up the rights to that film series and making something else with it.
Huh. Interesting.
No one wants Dick Tracy film.
I mean, I would if it was good, I'd watch it.
I mean, if Amazon announced a Dick Tracy TV show tomorrow, I'm in.
I mean, they just announced Netflix.
I mean, I would want it to be like Sin City, like.
I mean,
you know what? Quite frankly, I'd rather have it be more like The Spirit, and I mean that positively because I want it to be fucking stupid.
That's kind of like Dick Tracy lends itself to what The Spirit did better.
Yeah, only it won't be bad. Hopefully.
Also,
I mean,
Frank Miller, stay the fuck away from this.
Yeah, please, Frank Miller, don't ever approach a movie camera ever again.
You ruined RoboCop.
Unless he wants to do a Turtles movie, in which case...
Frank Miller did the new Turtles? Wait, not Turtles, RoboCop.
He did RoboCop 2. He wrote RoboCop 2, and he's in
Wait, the reboot or the...
No, the original. And I actually like RoboCop 2 a lot. So
RoboCop 2 is not terrible. RoboCop 3 is shit.
I've only seen the first one. And the reboot. The reboot sucks.
Look, I suffered through Prime Directive as it aired on television, so...
Yeah. RoboCop 2 is just Terminator 2, but with RoboCop instead of the Terminator.
That's what they should have done.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about this movie in relation to the comics, because this movie is faithful as shit to its source material, down to almost every facet.
But what
Never
I
mind
love
the scenes that were lifted directly from the panel. They even treated Shredder the same way they do in the first issue of Turtles.
Yep. And what I love is I think it's also faithful to the cartoon that was out at the time.
Yes.
And that's what I really love about it, is it feels like, okay, well, what are the two versions of this that are prominent? The comic and the show. That's just like, do the middle way in between that, and I think
you can feel that balance perfectly. Like during the last 20 minutes, you have several different little action sequences, and the first one is very serious. Lots of serious music, lots of kind of high intensity stuff, and then immediately it shifts to Michelangelo on a skateboard, knocking people over to 50s surf music, and it's fine. It's totally acceptable.
Yeah, and that sense of humor, it doesn't quite carry into the second movie, which we'll talk about more when we actually do that one. And this is something I'll acknowledge before we even get there. That movie goes too cartoony. It goes too towards the show.
My biggest problem with it is that they abandon any and all heaviness from this movie, and they throw out that balance in favor of bright colors and child humor, and that's it. There's nothing else to it.
And the humans aren't taking it seriously. And that's what I like about this movie, is that the adults in the room treat this situation with weight. Like, April doesn't act like this is a goofy thing that she's involved in. Oh, I'm taking down ninjas. Like, she treats it like, she's
freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, she treats everything seriously. She treats the turtles like what they are.
These ninjas burned down her home and her father's shop.
Yep.
I mean, it also helps that all these adults are in situations that are very real. April gets fired from her job because she's on TV trying to present the true side of a story that people are trying to cover up. Her apartment gets burned down. All of her father's belongings get destroyed. Danny is a very good embodiment of why it sucks to be a kid.
Yep. And he's not annoying about it. In a world where everybody's, like, the big thing that people like to bring up is, yeah, but the kid in this movie was fucking terrible.
You mean the Phantom Menace problem?
Danny was fine.
But it's not the Phantom Menace problem, because they're completely different characters. Anakin is this bubbly, almost no-dimensional plot device. He's not a character. Anakin does nothing in Phantom Menace except blow shit up, and he's just there to
and pod race at one point.
Yeah, he's there to make things move. He's not there to he doesn't have any defining character moments.
I blanked out for a minute, and I heard the words Danny, Anakin, Phantom Menace.
Yeah. That's accurate.
Turtles?
Danny is a kid who's clearly holding a lot inside and doesn't really let anything out until he's talking to Splinter.
Yeah. And anything annoying about him happens from his character, not from the actor, which I really appreciated.
But he's also a problem child, so he's supposed to be doing things that'll get in your nerves, like stealing money from fucking April's wallet while she's in the next
I was going to say, the beginning of this movie
are they related at all?
No, Danny's not related to her in any way.
What were you saying, Alan?
Were they trying to be serious with that whole...
What part? With him stealing stuff?
No. With the one wallet getting transferred to 15 different people.
Yes.
Were they trying to be serious?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I laughed when that happened.
Why? That's
that's
pickpocketing.
Yeah, that's thievery. If they were doing, this movie opens and it's Oliver Twist, and that's what this really is. It's Oliver Twist, but with Shredder, which I really appreciate. I do have a problem with the opening in that we don't need April's voiceover.
No.
At all.
I don't think.
It's kind of pointless.
You could have done any newscaster and it would have worked.
Yeah, well, you didn't even need it. You just needed the music, and you needed these kids looking suspicious. It's just a thing.
It's a beautiful intro to your villainous section of the movie.
Yeah, but again, it's real nitpicky stuff to get angry about. As far as this movie is, it's good.
Alan, with all due respect, I find a lot of your criticisms to be very weightless.
Yeah,
I will say I will compare this to a movie that I saw recently. And that was the quote-unquote hit film Ghostbusters.
The original?
No.
What are you talking about?
Nobody thinks that one's a hit.
No, the internet is calling it a hit.
Well, it's not.
Okay.
Anyway, to your point.
I think
I got 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes in that movie, and I was just cringing the entire time. I didn't do that with this.
Alan,
you
watch you like You mean to tell me you watched the entirety of Bay Turtles and not cringe once?
I mean, seriously.
It was more background noise.
Okay, that's your problem. I will acknowledge that Bay Turtles movie, if that's on the background, if it's on FX someday, sure. If it's on, I won't shut it off.
And that movie is nothing but background noise. Nothing in that
It
movie
really
happens.
is.
Nothing matters in that movie.
If you pay
mean-
attention to it, though.
You mean high-pitched Stephen Amell doesn't matter?
That's the second one.
Don't get me started on that.
It was so bad.
Out of the
So
Shadows
bad.
is a circus of just nonsense. So
The one shining star of Out of the Shadows is Brian Ting.
Yeah, he's good.
Who's Brian Ting?
He's Shredder.
Clearly,
They
repla-
you
They
know,
replaced him with an Asian guy in the
He
second
also
one.
played Liu Kang in the Mortal Kombat web series.
Yeah, and he's good.
listen,
He's good in it.
Listen, the breakout star of Out of the Shadows is Brad Garrett. You watch your mouth.
God damn it.
Raymond? That's my Brad Garrett impression.
I
So-
hate you, Hunter.
I don't want to get even more off topic, but in Out of the Shadows, when Shredder tells, what the fuck is his name? The scientist guy.
Yeah.
Baxter
Tyler Perry.
Baxter Stockman?
Yeah, Baxter Stockman. I was going to say Venkman, and I was like, no. He tells him,
You're
that's all
fired.
you've ever been is a footnote. And I was like, why didn't you say fly? You should have said fly.
Yeah, but they couldn't resist making a foot pun.
which, by the
That's-
way, doesn't happen once. I think.
It
I mean,
doesn't.
Like, there's like a mild joke, but like the foot is treated very seriously in this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Like an actual
everybody
street gang.
because everybody but the turtles, they are real people. That's
Yeah.
what I love about this movie. The turtles are ridiculous because they're mutant children who have lived in the sewers their whole life watching TV.
What these
So
fucking weirdos? Like,
yeah, them being a little ridiculous and a little bit cartoony because that's probably all they've ever seen as far as how people are supposed to act makes sense. Everybody else plays it seriously. Everybody else plays it straight.
I think your point is hammered home the best when, after the antique shop is burned down, that entire fight sequence pans out. The next shot is Shredder storming to the back and bitch slapping Splinter because he's like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah, yes, he treats it seriously.
He's incensed that his personal army was stomped out by a bunch of teenage turtles.
Yep.
He's so mad.
While they're doing like Abbott and Costello bits in the background while they're beating up these ninjas, like, and that's what I love about the movie is that it balances that humor and the seriousness.
You know when Casey Jones goes sit on the swing and then the swing breaks?
Yeah,
Was that part of the budget and they just broke it when they were filming and they decided to keep it in? Or was that actually scripted?
I want to imagine that swing wasn't supposed to break because I just love it. Elias Kodiaz, his reaction is so genuine.
He's like, "Whoa!"
He was trying to play a knock.
It's also
he was
like
trying to
it's
play a goal.
mid. It's like mid apple bite too. He's like, he's trying to get the last word in, and the fucking swing breaks.
Yep, and that's another thing I love. Casey and April fighting like real people would.
Like, it's funny, they mentioned moonlighting. It really does feel like moonlighting.
It really does. Yeah.
I don't know why, but in those accompanying scenes when after Leonardo has his meditation, he runs in on the three of them playing. What are they playing? It was like
I don't know.
Pursuit, and one like Raphael's like a 500 character playwright from the like blah 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 blah, and Donatello's like War and Peace. Found that very
God damn it. They make a Russian novelist from the late 1800s joke. This is so great. I love it. And I also, and I love the Force Ghost, which is great. And I remember as a kid being like, "Oh, I understand what a Force Ghost is. I've seen Star Wars." Does that mean Force Ghosts exist in all movies? Unfortunately, not. Yeah. Like I like all this stuff. I like
go into
the
some
spirituality stuff.
I want to go into some stuff because I mentioned this in the chat weeks before we did this. Years ago, I don't remember where I got this Turtles comic, but I got a collection of stories. I think I got them at a yard sale or something. And as I'm leafing through it, I start to see a lot of stuff that's familiar to me. That's because apparently this movie is based on 4 stories from the original Turtles comic book line, Leonardo #1, and then issues 8 through 11. and pretty much all of the second act is pulled directly from these comics. Almost shot for shot. The story opens up Leonardo out on Christmas, and the Foot, I don't know, I can't remember what he's doing, but he's just out and patrolling, and the Foot attacks him, and they basically attack him for what feels like several hours before he finally is outnumbered, and the Shredder appears after being killed in the first issue, and he freaks out, and then it cuts back to the apartment, April's apartment. Leo's tossed to the window, just like Raphael was, and then basically from that point forward, the comic and the movie are identical.
Wow.
They fight to the apartment, they fight to the antique shop catches fire, they leave through a small door in the back, the place burns down, and they go to a small beat-up house in the countryside that the only difference it belongs to Casey, and then basically every scene that follows, again, it's the exact same thing. April's narrating, April's drawing, she is observing everybody. Donatello and Casey Jones had the exact same truck interactions. Michelangelo is practicing in the farm. Raphael's on patrol. Leonardo's out hunting. And it kind of ends with all of them. It ends in the book where in the movie they go, it's time to go back.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
The only difference in the comic is that Shredder also appears in the antique shop and scares the shit out of everybody.
I mean, as he should.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, Donatello takes a swing at him, breaks his staff over his helmet, and then just gets promptly thrown across the room. And then, of all people, Casey walks up to Shredder and starts beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought all those the similarities were fascinating.
Yeah, that is actually kind of interesting because I didn't know that. I thought that it was sort of an original story, and they kind of took elements from the first Turtles run, maybe, but that's really cool that they
and then the entire climax is more or less from the issue number 1 of Turtles. In the comics, they gang up on Shredder, they beat him, and I think Leonardo's like, since you're basically beaten here, you have two options: we can finish you, or you can take your own life. And Shredder's like, nah! And then I think they kill him and throw him off the roof.
Yeah, which I like that they gave that to
Splinter.
But yeah, I like that they gave it to Splinter because it's just like it's more interesting, and it is kind of a Star Wars throwback, only with a much better result, I'll say, for Splinter.
Go ahead, Alan.
No, nothing. Disregarded.
Okie dokie.
I was just gonna say that Joss Whedon looks really old right now.
Oh, okay.
All right then.
Stay off the internet while we do these shows. Let's also talk about how Shredder's fucking dead. I'm sorry, I don't care about sequels.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't give a shit if he shows up in the second movie.
We'll talk about it more then, but I think I have a theory that initially when they wrote the script for number 2, I think, I might be wrong, I think he was supposed to be Alien Shredder initially. I think that they were going to do the, what is it, Fifth World or whatever, or I don't remember the name of it, but...
Oh, fuck, they're gonna pull into that?
I think that they were going to do Krang. I think they were. Because it makes sense to me that what happened is they intended to do Krang, they intended to do Aliens, and that was their explanation for how Shredder survived. But then they said, okay, well, we can't afford that. We can't do that.
Instead, he just, shows up, out of the junkyard, and they're like, oh my god, his face is messed up. I'm like, what about the rest of his body? He should be mangled.
Yeah. And I think Aliens would explain how he comes back. But
the second movie does begin to embrace all the ridiculousness.
Yeah,
of lots of the Turtles universe. Like they go into the ooze and the mutagenic properties and stuff like that. But
yeah,
they stop just short of it.
And I actually kind of like that stuff. It's fine.
Tokka and Razor were like a cheap replacement of Bebop and Rocksteady. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't get it either. Why couldn't you just... I don't know.
I mean, again, we'll get more into it then, but, I imagine it had something to do with rights. And I feel like this is legit. Newline probably knew that if they came up with original characters, they wouldn't have to pay Eastman and Laird as much. But that's just... conjecture on my part.
And you're also forgetting about the toy line.
True, that's another thing. If they use Eastman and Laird characters, I believe that any toy money would go to them, or one of them. I think Eastman is the one who really made out best with that deal as far as toys and keeping the rights. So I guess if they make Tokar and Razor original, any Tokar or Razor toys go to Newline at the time.
Yeah, those Teenage Mutant Ninja Tatarangas.
Right.
Tortugas.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think we've covered all the bases of this movie.
Yeah. I guess
when no. Okay, I was gonna say something about out of the shadows, and then I'm like, no. I'll just stick
now
to
I
this
feel
actual
like
film.
now I feel like all the comparisons could start to fall in, like where I think this movie absolutely is a runaway success as compared to the newer version. I will say, as a quick aside, the 2007 animated CGI movie is the best sequel to this movie.
Yeah, it's the only true sequel, I think.
Because it picks up the baton of tone, and just it's totally okay. Even if it is, again, embracing the ridiculousness, like it goes into the magical.
Yeah.
But it gets the tone down. Leonardo and Raphael's fight on the rooftop is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And actually has weight to it, because there's problems those two have had for years. And in this movie.
With the exception of,
when are we going to watch Secret of the Ooze?
I mean, someday in the future, when it makes sense. Probably when they reboot Turtles again.
Yeah, because I think Out of the Shadows was ultimately a disappointment.
Well, yeah, because it was a ton of money.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna talk about that. Let's talk about these suits versus these fucking CGI monstrosities that they came up with.
I think
better. There has never been I don't think there are few examples of simplicity versus complexity.
Yep.
Where simplicity wins out as hard as it does here.
I mean, not making giant animated Shreks on screen for 2 hours, that's a win as far as I'm concerned.
Those designs are fucking
There's the Out of the Shadows
disgusting.
number, Connor, if you want them.
Huh?
I don't
Here's
know
the
if
Out of the
that
Shadow number if you want it.
Ever be
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
135 million budget. Box office was 245 million. But I would assume they spent probably around 100 million on advertisement.
Yeah,
so they might have just broken even.
Yeah, it's 100% true. They definitely lost money on that movie. And they came out in China, which...
China loves all of our garbage.
Yeah. So that tells you something.
But I think that has something to do with what I'm trying to say, too, is that I think you really do risk alienating a large portion of the people who are going to go see this movie when you start to take not just steps, like huge strides and leaps away from what people liked about this stuff, before.
Yeah.
I think that saying that there will never, I think if they really wanted to, there could be a really good CGI turtle.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying that can't happen. I think that 100% could happen. But let's think about hypotheticals. Say tomorrow they announced after Lion King, Jon Favreau is doing a Turtles movie. For one, I'm instantly on board.
I am too.
Part of the reason is Jon Favreau likes to use practical effects and CGI.
Still in on the Magic Kingdom movie.
Yep, that'll happen someday.
I hope that actually does happen, because that's amazing.
And his Turtles would be CGI in the fight scenes, 100%. And he would
actual
have
turtles in every other scene.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way to do
in
it.
a little fish tank.
Yeah, maybe you have some action suits.
And then he puts a grilled cheese on the grill and serves it up in a food porn film.
Or we're in an age where mocap is becoming amazingly
really
sophisticated.
Good.
Look at Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah,
Andy Serkis is given the performance of his lifetime through a CGI monkey, and it all comes through totally fine. There's no reason why you couldn't do the same thing with these.
Yeah, and
they actually did. I was watching the behind the scenes stuff for TMNT,
right,
and Out of the Shadows. They have them in
full body suits.
full
Oh,
body
I've seen
suits.
the actors in full body suits, but like nothing comes through. They're just big.
but
They come
they're
across
not.
as soulless blobs.
Yeah, they do.
They're just wearing
That's
green.
because the animators probably.
I mean, it's a couple things. It's the time, and again, they didn't make practical suits, really. I've seen some of the behind-the-scenes stuff also. Like, when I say practical suits, I mean, in Jon Favreau's Zathura, they made actual lizard suits of those lizard creatures. You can look it up, and they are detailed, and they look real. If one was snarling at you, you would believe for a couple seconds that there was an actual lizard man in front of you. That's what I'm talking about as far as if Favreau did TMNT.
Yeah, and tangibility has a lot to do with like how a viewer will absorb something. And the new Turtles in these movies, they're too synthetic. Like I can't. If that were in front of me, it's like I can't touch that. That's not real. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know what it sounds like because it's completely fabricated. And these suits were like you could see them interact. You could see them touching things. You could see they had like a bit of weight to them. They at the end of the movie when they're fighting Shredder, there's bruises on their bodies. They added those.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think the Turtles are gonna be eventually rebooted. Like,
Yeah, totally.
The product is too like it's
too lucrative. It's too
big.
It's a license to print money.
Yeah.
like,
There's no way that they don't do another one.
I think if they do it again, I kind of want to see more practical stuff now. Like after watching this movie, like,
and I guarantee you they find some sort of middle place in between this movie and the new one.
Like why do they have noses? Why? Like they have.
I mean,
discernible noses in the new one, and like they're over accessorized. Why do they have all this shit going on all over them? Like looking at Donatello makes my eyes hurt.
He just has a tablet just on his elbow.
yeah, I mean,
He's got all this crap all over him. It's transparently like it's trying to modernize them.
It's leaning too much into mutant than it is turtle.
And please stop making Michelangelo such a creeper. Like it's bordering on weird bestiality stuff where he's aggressively hitting on April. And they mention it in this one, but it's more like, hey, she's a pretty lady, and that's basically it.
It was Secret of the Use where they took it too far.
No, with Megan Fox getting naked in the subway tunnel, they took it too far.
Yeah,
Like Michelangelo's singing to Megan Fox at the end of the first movie.
Megan Fox got naked in a subway tunnel?
Yeah, she's changing.
What movie was this?
In Out of the Shadows, she changes in a subway.
At the beginning.
Yeah, in that area.
No, well, not really. All she does is like tighten up her white shirt and then put a skirt over her pants. I wouldn't call that naked.
They imply.
They sex up April O'Neil unnecessarily in those
No,
movies.
they sex up April O'Neil by casting Megan Fox.
That's true.
That's where the problem
That's fair.
starts. Like you know what they were going for as soon as they cast Megan Fox. It's like, okay, you're not interested in creating a compelling character. You're interested in putting someone on screen who's pretty, and that's it.
Yep.
I mean, April doesn't do a lot in this movie, but she does enough, and she also she doesn't really require the defense of a lot of people. Like she's strong in the sense that I don't know, she gets punched in the face by a foot soldier, but her attitude is never helpless.
Yeah,
I will say
that's
this
what I like about
it. Something that the 2014 Turtles movie had that the first Turtles movie did not have. Whoopi freaking Goldberg.
I mean, that's
This movie would not have been elevated by any celebrity status.
Yeah.
I think it would have hurt it.
Yeah, I think so. I like that this is no names, almost entirely no names. There isn't anyone who, at least at the time, anybody would have been like, oh, I know that person from X or Y or Z. It's a bunch of people you've never seen before, and I think it really lends to the movie.
They don't, and most of them haven't gone on to do too much.
Yeah.
Judith Hoag was in Sons of Anarchy, which is a cool thing.
Yeah.
I think she's what is she in right now? She's in a TV show. And Elias Koteas has kind of made he's made a presence in horror, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, he's made a career of looking like Robert De Niro while not being Robert De Niro.
Poor Elias. He got old so fast.
He did, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he can show up in
Shutter Island for about 5
minutes. Yeah, and I thought he was De Niro because that's his career. as far as I'm concerned. It's showing up when you need De Niro, but you can't afford that De Niro price.
He was also the showing up or having what's his name? He played Stabler on SVU.
Oh,
He
Jesus
does
Christ.
look like him.
Yeah, he does. He looks like a combination of.
Literally.
He looks like if you put the Robert De Niro and that guy in the Fly teleporter, and then they came out the other side.
No, because the third Harold and Kumar movie.
Oh yeah,
Chris Maloney was doing Man of Steel, so they got Elias Koteas as his replacement, and
God damn it, that's great.
That is fantastic.
I was like, "You win Harold and Kumar
That's like-
3."
That's like replacing Rob Corddry with Paul Scheer.
Oh, shit.
Okay, Al, was there any larger reason outside of nitpickiness? Did you genuinely not like this, or did you just be like, meh?
It was halfway.
Okay, so you didn't hate it. You
Tell
just
us can you please tell me what you liked about it?
I like the action stuff
That's good.
with Casey Jones action stuff, like his introduction.
Yeah, I like his introduction too.
His introduction's great.
And that's another thing and this is a problem I have with the 2014 movies, is a big part of Turtles for me, and I don't know where this comes from. Maybe somebody who's more familiar with the cartoons or the other shows that I haven't seen in forever. For me, the Casey and Raphael relationship is these two can easily beat each other up, but because they know that they like each other for that reason. Like, they're best friends because
It's a
they're
very
assholes.
thick-headed friendship.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love. It's really hard to do that in the new movies when Raph is twice the size of Casey. Really difficult to make that work on screen.
Also, Casey is Stephen Amell.
I mean, that's another thing altogether. But, when they're on screen together, I don't believe Casey could punch Raph and Raph would feel it. I believe Casey would punch Raph and Raph would be like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
That's a problem I have with these movies, is that the turtles are 15 feet tall. And that's what I like about this movie, is the turtles feel more real to me. Like, they
More
could
humanized.
exist. Yeah. And it's just scale. Like, if the turtles were 6 feet tall, it wouldn't change that much for me. I would still believe in them, but making them the size of Gigantopithecus really just, it throws all the proportion
I think
out.
the problem their design is it looks like if they were to hit anything at full speed, they would utterly annihilate it.
Oh yeah, totally.
They're like humanoid meteorites. They're huge.
Yeah. Like,
The one thing I did
Hulks.
enjoy about the 2014 I guess redesign and that whole movie, the one thing I did is when they're defending with their shells, I think Raphael's shell begins to actually take damage.
Yeah.
And he's hurt by it, which I thought was interesting, because I've never seen anybody the only time I see them use their shells is when they're using them offensively.
Yeah, and I thought the real small design stuff on those turtles doesn't work. But I like that every turtle looks different from one another, that they all have a different style, and that it's they're not just walking around naked. That's something I appreciate, I guess.
The best part of the 14 remake is the turtles themselves. I mean, how they act. Their designs are shit. They're voiced well. Kind of a weird, under the radar performance by Johnny Knoxville, of all people. I like the way their team up stuff is really cool. I like the fight they have with Shredder at the end of the movie, even if the setup is exactly the same as Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, and the rap scene in the elevator is good.
I thoroughly enjoy the beatboxing scene.
Yeah.
But if the entire movie were as good as that scene, that movie would have knocked out of the park despite the designs.
Yeah, and I guess other problems I have with it, the Foot are just basically a bunch of faceless dudes with guns now. That's it.
Yeah.
You took away the coolest defining factor about them, was that they're spooky, urban legend ninjas from Japan, and now they're just dudes with guns.
Yeah. It's real boring. Okay, I feel like we've covered this this 1990 movie. I guess, Connor, should we do like closing thoughts or something?
You guys can't. I might have to dip early because I really have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Okay, I can close it out for you
Yes,
then.
you guys knock it out. Hang on. Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Do you want need anything? Never mind.
Does anybody have any initial closing thoughts? Any sort of...
I do. I'm going to give this another try because something I forgot to mention was while the movie was on, I was kind of in a bad mood because I was listening to the horrifying part of Angels Take Manhattan.
Mm.
Or the saddest moment in Angels Take Manhattan.
You just tainted your whole experience there.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Seriously.
Because the song was in my head.
Oh, okay. I know what that's like. Yeah. I would suggest giving it a second try. I mean, I went to see Jurassic World twice because I had a major headache the first time. Still regret that decision.
Well, our next movie special will be full of second tries, so...
Yeah.
Fuck.
Chris, Hunter, you got any like final thoughts before we close it up?
Hunter can go first, I'll close it.
I think I find myself thinking very highly of this movie now. Like,
Yep.
I definitely enjoy it a lot more than I thought I did.
It's a good comic book film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
what it is. Like,
yeah.
it's hard to... We've done so many of these where it's just like, man, this movie sucks. It's so dated. So it's nice to see a film where we actually enjoy watching it.
Yeah. It's very very nice.
This movie
I mean-
has pretty much has stood the test of time.
Yeah, it's for a movie from 1990, and for a comic book movie from the dark ages of comic book films. This is a pleasant surprise.
The early Renaissance.
I still consider the 90s the dark ages. I think, like we have
Ushered in the...
Yeah,
comic
I think
film.
I think we have shining spots. We have The Mask. We have I'd even say Batman Returns, and we have a couple other like real gems that we'll eventually talk about on here. But this is like I would say it's one of the better ones. I think this and The Mask really are like neck and neck.
Well, The Mask wasn't really that close to its comic.
Yeah, they kind of took a lot of liberties, which probably helped it. Because
Did Men in Black come out in 99 or 2000?
99.
It was a year. No, it was a year after Independence Day. So Independence Day came out in 1996.
97 then?
Yeah, because they came out a year apart from each other. Like he had like a 2-year streak, or no, he had like a 3-year streak because he had
97 Men in Black.
Yeah, and then Independence Day the year before that, and Bad Boys the year before that. So we had like a 3-year hit streak of giant action movies, and that's what made him Will Smith. But Men in Black is like the topper on that.
Yeah.
And then he had Wild Wild West.
Which kind of, well, that was his first real road bump.
Thank you, John Peters.
Yeah. More on that on the Man of Steel episode. Yeah. But my closing thought is really just like, I first watched this movie when I was very young. I don't remember when I exactly watched it from beginning to end, but you know, when you're young, that's how you watch movies. You catch a piece of a movie here and there. You see Turtles late at night or early in the morning, halfway through, and then you finish and you're like, I want to watch more of that. And for me, this is a movie that I remember even then thinking, whoa, this is too mature for me. I remember thinking that as like a 5-year-old, which is not something that 5-year-olds think.
Arlen, because you said waking up early on watching Turtles, that immediately brought the 90s pizza bagel or bagel. Yeah. Like pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza.
God damn it, Alan!
That was a good.
Okay.
That was a good jingle.
Yeah, and also, like, I guess my earliest memory is listening to a tape of this soundtrack. So, for me, watching this movie again recently and watching it today and having it hold up was a real pleasant surprise for me. So, I guess that's my final thought is I'm very happy that this movie is as good as I remember it being. So, yeah, that's what I got to say. Now, let's do plugs. Hunter, you got something?
You can follow me on Twitter at Davenport. I mainly ship posts. You can find my articles on the Horror. I just wrote a review for Guardians of the Galaxy. Very good
Episode
game.
1.
The Telltale series.
Good shit.
Yeah. And then Alan, what you got? What you got, boy?
Like I said last time, and by last time I mean last night. Me and Hunter are still working on that, project.
Yep.
And coming soon, once I finally get around and get the chance to play it, a recap with spoilers. Guardians of the Galaxy by Telltale, Episode 1.
Yep.
All right, and that can all be found on losthorror.wordpress.com. You can find their writing, you can find my writing once I get back on the horse, and lots of other people's writing. Please go there, support. You also find a link on that site to this podcast, the Phantom Zone podcast.wordpress.com. You can find all the different places to listen to the show, rate, like, subscribe, share, blah, blah, blah. Give it to your friends. Chris, do you have anything?
If you don't do that, if you do not go and like all of the things, I'll have to come to your house wearing the hockey mask and hit you with it, with the hockey stick, and say 2 minutes for hooking, 2 minutes for tripping, and 2 minutes for high sticking.
Yep. Damn it, Sierra. Yeah.
This is what happens when hockey is in a movie.
Yeah, I think that's our plugs. I don't remember Connor's plugs, so listen to a previous episode.
You can find him at Wesker Commander, where he's been tweeting out game stuff, which is fitting since...
Oh, yeah, and don't forget to join the Phantom Zone group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important, because that's legitimately what we actually do.
And there's a link on our site.
As I was going to say before, Chris Pearl harbored me.
That just makes up for one of the Hiroshimas that you've done to me, sir.
It's a wrestling term.
It's a
okay.
Term.
All right, guys. I think we're good here.
Listen to Video Game Hour episode 0.
Yeah, we just recorded it, like, right before this episode.
Yeah.
Yep, that will come out soon. There may be we may tease it on this feed. Woo! Yeah. Bye.